welcome back to the OSS Fund stream. Today we have Andrey with us. Hi, Andrey.
Hi, I happy to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming on. Andrey, you actually were able to become part of our fund because of the tool. Can I call it a tool or library called Task?
It's a tool. Yes.
Can you break down just what Task is so the audience can understand it a little more?
Mm-hmm. Task is actually an automation tool. It's meant to automate common tasks of the developer workflow on a daily basis. Can also be used on CI, for example, so it can automate building, running tests, maybe even a simple deployment, although that's not the focus, etc. So it's very generic to do general development automation.
Nice. And what about yourself? Like, what's your background and why did you decide to create Task?
Yes, I am a software engineer. Uh, I work mostly with web development, mostly backend, but I can also do some front end. Uh, I have experience with Ruby on Rails and Go, for example, some React as well for the front end. And the decision to create tasks is because, well, at the time, I was searching for a tool like this, an automation tool, and I wasn't being able to find something that uh, the way I wanted to, the tool I wanted to have. Uh, I took a look at some of them, and they didn't have all the features, or they weren't so easy to use, for example. And at some point, I decided to just sit down and write some code and do what I wanted to find but didn't find in the internet.
And I think you wrote Task in Go. Is that a primary language for you, or did you decide that was something you wanted to learn?
I already knew Go before starting Task, but of course, Task helped me to polish my skills in Go, especially because on a daily basis, on my daily job, I work with Ruby, actually, Ruby on Rails. So it's an opportunity to keep my skills polished.
Nice. Are you writing a lot of like microservices in Go then, or is it something else that you're doing?
No, never dealt with microservers. At my daily job, we have a monolith in Rails, and the Rails are, we usually do monoliths. I mostly use it Go for small command line tools and small automations, this kind of thing.
Cool. Did you have a lot of experience with the open source community before you created Task and started maintaining it, or is this kind of your first foray into like maintaining an open source project?
No, I did have some previous experiences. When I started learning Rails back at the time, I did some contributions to the documentation, for example. Uh, Typos and even stuff that I missed in the documentation. I wrote it down and get it. So this is what my first contact with open source contribution. And I have contributed to small libraries even in Go and Ruby. And I have even another project that I created before text. It's called Test Features. It's
Okay.
a project to write tests in Go using a SQL database. So I have this previous project. It's not as big, it's smaller than test. But once I started test, I already have those these experiences.
I think last time I checked on Task, there's probably over 100 issues. How do you handle like you probably still have your day job like most OSS maintainers have. How do you handle like what issues to work on, what to go through, how to like label things? What's that like as a maintainer?
Yes, it comes a point where you kind of have to embrace the chaos.
I like that. Yeah.
There are a lot of issues, and I just we have to understand that there will be a lot and you can't fix everything because we have limited time, and that's part of the process. But I try to understand what is a priority, what bugs are more important, what features are more requested. Uh, I take the feedback from users very. It's a very important thing to me. So the issues that have more upvotes, for example, or more comments, I use that to understand what users most want fixed or implemented, for example. And yeah, most once in a while I have to go to the issues and try to do some cleanup. I mostly do that less often than I wanted to, but
It's always a challenging practice as a maintainer, just trying to make those decisions and work through them. I know it can be tough. Even on like task is not like this massive like Next.js library or something like that. It can be challenging because once people start to like really enjoy your product like that, you have to figure out like they're gonna want more things out of it, right? So it becomes a fun challenge. I love the fact that when I was looking through it, you had like good issue label. Can you talk through kind of what good issue label means and how people can utilize like that as their first kind of foray into like OSS and getting started?
yes, you mean the first good issue
Yeah,
label?
the first good issue or good first issue label, for someone
Mhm.
that's never done an issue before,
Yes,
like, what
yes.
is that experience like, and why do we use that label?
Yeah, a nice thing about the project is that I got many good contributions from the community. So a big part of the project was a contribution. Many features I didn't write myself. I just reviewed it or polished it a bit. So I consider it a community project, although I am main maintainer. It's very community driven. And when someone open a bug report or a feature request, sometimes it's complex, sometimes not so much, sometimes it's very simple. And uh, I like to do this instead of jumping straight to the code to fix something. Sometimes it's nice to put that label and give that opportunity to someone else to do that. And I certainly have some contribution from junior engineers on these easy to fix issues.
Yeah, I love that. That's part of OSS in my, opinion,
Yes.
like, building other people up and allowing them to dive in, even though you know, like, "Yeah, it's a quick fix, I can do this," but
Mhm.
I love that side of it, it's fantastic. So uh, as you know, and hopefully others know, Appright, you became one of our OSS featured projects. What do you think you can do now that Appright has added to that sponsorship? Does that allow you some more time, or like can that help out in some way?
One aspect where it has helped is that for some months already, I have now a common trainer. It's Pete
Nice.
from UK, and part of that money from Apple I have been redirecting to Pete, for example, and I can see that as a motivator factor. It's very important. He has been helping me considerably.
That's really great. I'm happy to hear that. That's so exciting. We love like supporting projects, but it's always tough. Like, oh, did they buy more servers? Did they do this? Like, and that's why we're having these meetings. So it's fantastic. What do you foresee task and I guess just in general as an OSS maintainer? What's happening for you for the next 6 months to a year?
To the project, I think that we are at the moment kind of trying to focus on stability a bit because there are some small bugs and so, but I do plan to start planning the next major release at some point, maybe bringing some official Docker support, for example. So there are actually many ideas, but the time available sometimes is a constraint. But yes, the next major version is something that I like to at least begin working on.
Nice. I think you're currently on version 3, correct?
Yes, exactly.
Nice. Okay. What's the most popular use that you can tell, at least, of tests today?
I think it's the development automation of building, running tests, etc. I also see a lot of people using it for CI, for
Yeah,
example.
that's what I was
So
wondering.
yeah, it's a good way, for example, to have the same uh, script running locally and on CI, for example, a good way to not have duplicate infra, for example, locally and on CI for running tests.
That's really cool. So, like if you're running an AWS pipeline or GCP or anything locally, even you can just continuously keep running the
Mhm.
task script and then go from there. That's really cool. I love it. What other additional things do you have that you want to chat about task? Is there anything that I'm missing that we can add to it?
Oh, let me think.
And while you're thinking about that, I just want to bring up the homepage for the documentation so that people that are watching out on YouTube can take a view of that.
Mhm. Yes.
So here is the task site for all the documentation, and it's really well done. I love how it's set up. I have to imagine you're probably using something. I knew this a minute ago. What's the tool that you're documenting with?
It's Docusaurus from Facebook. It's a really great documentation tool. Really good.
Yeah, I love how easy it is, and you can just go mark down straight up to it. It's really
Yes.
cool. It's got nice. I mean, for his, I forgive me because I know it's a lot of work, but for as small of a project it is, it's so well documented and put together. Just props to you for that.
Yes, documentation is a priority for me. For any open source project, I think it should be. I like to have lots of examples because I have dealt with projects with which lacked examples in documentation. And it can be really hard to understand how to actually do something if you
Yeah,
only have a description, for example, of how that something should work, but not an example to, oh, this is how I actually do it.
yeah. This changelog for me is huge. Like, there's been so many projects. I'm like, wait a minute, what changed? And then like you gotta go dig around files, and it's like so frustrating. So, I love this too. Okay, did I give you enough time? Anything, future that I missed on task?
A feature that I missed, I
That
miss.
that I forgot to ask about. Is there anything additional that I was missing?
Mhm. Uh, I don't think so. Nothing that
Nice.
I could think of.
So definitely check out the installation page that we're kind of just showing off. I easily installed it using Homebrew, so it was
Mhm.
great to set that up. There's plenty of different ways to do it, and Andre, just thank you. I really appreciate you coming on and chatting about Task and how you're going to use that OSS fund money for good use.
Mm. Yes, thanks. Thanks a lot for the
Absolutely.
invite, for everything, for the
Cool.
sponsor as well.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Andre.
Thanks. Bye bye.